I'm now on welcome everybody aboard Seine. First time out this year on Seine. I'm on the Seine, a little bit to the north of Vernon, and that is the slipway that I've just launched from. My car and trailer just the other side of that notice board, and here is the Seine. It's a beautiful day. We're promised beautiful weather for the rest of today, tomorrow, Pentecost Monday, and Pentecost Tuesday, and I'll be going home Pentecost Tuesday evening, and probably from about Wednesday or Thursday we're going to get some rotten weather. So here we are. It's she's a little bit untidy at the moment. There's my painter that I'm going to have to take down. My jib's down because the wind is extremely erratic at the moment. I'm just ghosting along at the moment, and sometimes there are gusts. And here's the boom trying to come across. I'm going to have to do a bit of counter. Yes, so counter gîte, as we say in French. I can't remember the term in English. So we're going very, very slowly just at the moment, and then probably I get another gust or two, and so there are my little boxes and compartment, a bow compartment that contains my my sleeping gear and my tent. As I'm going to spend 2 nights in this boat, I'll show you how the tent goes up when I stop for the night, which won't be for a moment. Here's my engine, which is off for the moment. There's my new rudder, which works very, very nicely. I'm going to strengthen it with better gudgeons for the sea. It's okay for these conditions. There's no rough sea, but in a rough sea I'll want something a bit stronger. And of course I've got the other folding rudder, which is still perfectly serviceable. Pair of oars and warps and fenders galore. There's my bucket with the scoop, sponge, a few bits and pieces here, mostly for tying up sails. Here's a lot more litter from the sparrows at home. Here we are. We got a little bit more wind coming up. I can see it on the water. So I'll sign off for now and come back a little bit later. Here we are. I've got the sewing machine going, and there's a little bit of wind, and just getting out of a bit where there's absolute doldrum. Here's the wind back. I'm in a full reef, so I'm going to turn off the engine and see how we get on here. Should be good, full reach. So just sheet in and see how we get on, and I'll be back from about Vernon, which is just down the road. You get a lot of these on the Seine, these big boats going up towards Paris, and when you get them, there are the waves. I'm almost surfing. As you can hear, I've got the sewing machine back on, so because the wind is very erratic, and there's another barge going the other way, so it's probably going to get some cross waves, so I'm going to have to be careful. All of a sudden I have a following wind. I was going into quite a nasty headwind, and I had to have the engine on because of the 2 barges. The barge that overtook me, he's on his way down there. For the moment, I've got some following wind, so So take advantage of it whilst it lasts, and then it'll be another go with the engine. Anyway, I'm going towards Vernon, which is a beautiful medieval town in the Eure part of France. Toodaloo for now. We are arriving at the first part of Vernon, but it's not the medieval part of the town. It's the industrial part. Oh, a little bit of following wind to get me forward a little bit under sail. So we're approaching Vernon, and I'll show you some lovely things when we get there. I am now running the approach to Vernon. At this range I can see with the naked eye, I can see the collegiate church, but I doubt if it can be seen just at the moment. Another bit of headwind, and then let's bring in booms crashing. Oh, no, I'm going to stop this. This is the iconic view of, not my sail, an old bridge here at Vernon, and there's a house on a part of the bridge, and then there are other parts of the bridge that go towards that little island in the middle of the river. And oh, engine's just stalled, so I'm now tied up at Vernon, and here she is, just by this little dock at the boating club. And just over the other side, there's the collegial church with the bells ringing for this Sunday evening, and it's a wonderful thing to see the church alive again on this Feast of Pentecost, whereas on the Feast of Easter we were still in the thick of lockdown. So I'll just go along a little bit along this little dock. A few motorboats here, and a couple of sailing yachts, and wonderful bells of this collegial church. And then I will show you the building on the old medieval bridge, which is the iconic sign of this town of Vernon. And there's just that building there, and then there are various piers, and apart from that there's nothing left. And then there's the island that supported a part of the bridge, but on the other side absolutely nothing whatsoever remains. There, of course, there is the new modern bridge, and so there's the old building. Another lovely thing in this place is this medieval tower, this old, and you can see the beginning of the old bridge between the tree and the building. So there we are on this beautiful day. It's quite a lot of erratic wind. I had to motor quite a lot against very erratic and changing headwinds. That would have been quite difficult to sail. So I just motored. So there's the quite a bit of that town is medieval, and there are quite a few more modern buildings. An old medieval keep, and then modern buildings from the 1950s. I think probably this place suffered from World War II. I'd have to read about the history. This interesting boat is the Sangria, which I believe is built by Benito and it's a very popular boat. They can be bought quite cheaply. I'm not sure if I'd want one, but it's a 25 foot, fairly small cockpit, and quite a lot of room inside. This one doesn't look in very good condition. Sail looks a bit in a bit of a mess. Probably doesn't sail very often. And then there are these two boats. I'm not sure what they are. Perhaps they're used for regattas. Right. Well, I'll sign off here. Oh, before I do, I'll just approach Sarum, which is tied up. Who's tied up down here, and there we are. So I'm just going to have a little rest here, maybe get something to eat, and then see what time it's going to be, and see where I'm going to spend the night. Just to go on a little bit more about this lovely place, which is very, very near Giuliani, which is famed for the Impressionist school of art. And this whole country, especially in this season of late spring, these lovely weeping willows just by the water, and there's the castle keep I showed you a little while ago. Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of work going on, so that's where you can see a lot of construction machinery, this would have been a very nice place to spend the night, but unfortunately every time a barge comes past, you get lots of waves, you just get shaken about. I'm tied up here with my fenders to protect the boat, but I'm going to go back a little bit tonight, because there are some islands, and you can shelter behind the islands from all the bow waves of the barges. So this is where we were before. Yes, the building on the bridge is hidden behind those trees. This boat was a ferry that was found sunken, and an association rescued it and restored the hull and got it floating again, and either repaired or replaced the engine, and it's used for taking people out for little tours, and being shown the area on themes of impressionist art. There's the collegial church again, which is absolutely wonderful. It's a lovely flamboyant Gothic building. So I'm going to leave this lovely place, and I'm going to find somewhere behind an island, and I share how wild some of these places can be, considering that we're quite near Paris. Well, we're not very far from the Yvelines, which is the department that contains Versailles, and then there's Paris. But I'm not going to go anywhere near Paris. So anyway, I'll sign off here. It's just going up one of the backwaters. I found one of these beautiful spots on one of the islands to spend the night. So it's still daylight, and you can see these absolutely wonderful weeping willows along by the waterside. There's a little bit of a wind, but I'm stopped for the night, and I'm going to call this this elderberry port with the elderberry flowers sticking out from among the rigging. And I had an awful job trying to make a bit of a clearing in the nettles. There are loads of nettles here, and I found a little spot for my cooker, and there's my kombouze, the French word for a galley on a ship. So anchor soup and fender, roast fender for supper. So there we are. There's my new mast, and that bit seems to go up to a field. It's obviously a farm. It's obviously owned by a farmer, but I don't think they'll mind me just spending the night tied up along the shore. I don't think I'll be trespassing like that. So this is absolutely wonderful. So it's still a bit of a mess in the boat. I've got some Debussy playing, and there's my hat. I've got my warps. I'm going to have to put them somewhere for the night in order to be able to get to the bow compartment to get all my stuff out for the tent and everything else. There's some kitchen stuff, some my life jacket. I wanted to show you this before. This is a system that I've invented myself, shall we say, and this is to hold the outboard engine in one position, because this particular engine, it's impossible to tighten up the screw without stripping the thread. So what I've done is I've put on a tiller extension. Let's see if I can get this out. Here we are, and that turns the engine. For example, if I'm in a port or something like that, and I want to do some very fine manoeuvres, or even turn the engine round in order to go aft. And I have a little hook here and a bracket, and it just goes in not very easily. Oh dear, there's a hole there. It should go on the hole, it should slot in, but it doesn't. Oh yeah, there we are, and it's slotted in, and that holds the engine in position. Then I just steer with the rudder. So there we are. The engine's down because there's plenty of depth for both the engine and the rudder, and I can. There's no tide. It's a river. It's a non-tidal river. So I'll leave you there until I put the tent up and show you how it all gets sorted out. I've just got all my tent stuff out, and for the moment the boat looks a complete mess. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to those down there. I'm going to bring these boards over to the middle, and I will then set up the pneumatic mattress, which I'll show you in a moment. This is the first stage with my cloth tent. There's a hook to the mast, and there's another hook to the end of the oh dear, never mind. and the whole lot is being held by the topping lifts. And now I will attach the two sides of the tent to the sides of the boat. So here's the tent. The tent is up, and it hangs under the boom. The music playing in the background takes me back to my university days. Various pieces of Swiss and Schweizerdeutsch popular songs and pieces brings back good memories of the old alma mater at Fribourg. So I'm going to point the camera up now, and those are two arches from a tent, and they held the walls out and holds the whole thing very nice and taut. I don't know how this tent would perform under rain, because it's not likely to rain either tonight or tomorrow night. I've chosen some very lovely weather, and I'm taking the risk of plagiarizing Roger Barnes by taking the Seine from out of the stern of the boat under the tent. So it's all hanging from the yard. There's a hook at the end of the yard, and there's a hook on the mast, and the rest of the tent is supported by these arches that engage in eyelets at four parts of the boat. I'm now lying on my mattress with the two boards, the two boards that were at the sides of the boat. They're now in the middle, and that provides my bed. And here up here, I've got this to sew as a pillow, and I've got another pillow, and I've also got some. A couple of quilts, because I hate sleeping bags. It's all unless it's very cold, but apart from that, I can't stand sleeping bags. So I've got a couple of things to keep me warm during the night, because it's pretty hot and muggy now. But I don't think it'll be quite as hot at 5 or 6 in the morning. So that time I'll need something warm on my on myself. Another little trick I have is to be able to move the boom bang forward in order to enable the tent to be hung under the boom rather than placed over the mainsail. And the other trick is that I undo the main sheet completely, and that gives me a complete bit of room in the tent to spend a fairly comfortable night. Good morning, world. It's about 6:30 in the morning, Monday morning. A little bit cold. There's the sun about to rise in the east, or nearly in the east, because it's not yet the solstice. And there's the river as smooth as a mirror. There's been a tiny bit of wind during the night. I've just taken down the tent and put away all the bedding in the forward compartment, and I've still got a lot of stuff to do, and especially I've got some breakfast coming up, and I've got some bacon and a frying pan, and my little gas stove, my mini gas stove, which is an amazing little invention. That's the gas bottle, and this is this tiny little thing that just folds up and all goes into a box, so it doesn't take up any space. because it's a very because it's a 12-foot boat. I don't have the room that some people have in their ilours. Not mentioning any names. So I have to. Well, it's only a 2.5 day sortie. So that's the way going up to the farm gate, whatever it is beyond. I saw on Google Maps that there are no buildings on this island, but it's not completely wild, as one would expect. There are all sorts of bits of junk here to fence off people like me, I should imagine. So there's the galley all ready for breakfast, and I've still got things to put away and tidy up before I get going, because well, one should believe in a tidy ship. Well, signing off now. Well, here's breakfast, just cooked. My very summery little galley with the little gas cooker, and here in France, the best equivalent of a bacon butty. Well, I'm going to show you a little bit more about this little gas stove. First of all, I'm going to put it away now, so I'm going to, if I can do it with one hand, or one hand and two legs, unscrew it from the gas cylinder. Taking a few turns, isn't it? Yeah. There we are. And this, it all folds up. This one, and this one here. And there are 3 little feet. That all folds up. It's really a backpacker's piece of equipment. There we are, and it all goes in there very nicely. So if you want to save space for your galley, that's a possibility if it's only for a few days. And then the bottle, and then the can. Here, there's a little top that goes on the can, and that stops dust and dirt from getting into the valve and causing a gas leak. Because this stuff, I think it's butane, so one has got to be careful with it. Anyway, that's the end of my breakfast, and I'm just going to be putting things away and getting things tidy and ship shape and Bristol fashion and ready to go. Hello, so we're off down towards the south. I can't sail this morning because little wind there is a headwind, and there's no point in trying to tack here. So I'm afraid I've got the sewing machine on, and I don't think we could ask for a more beautiful scene. In the middle of France, not very far from Paris, but we're in the middle of Normandy in the Eure, and it's absolutely sublime. Rising sun in the east, and the island where I spent the night, just a little bit further back. Just to give you some idea of the kind of houses that people live in along the riverside, and that's not the biggest or most sumptuous. I've seen a few a few very fine chacos. Going past the ruins of the old bridge. A couple of people fishing here. And there's the modern bridge. This is the older part of Vernon, with the collegiate church. We're just about to cross the apse and the choir of this magnificent church, and then this lovely house on the riverside. Must be very, very pleasant. And then some modern blocks of flats, and things are a lot less interesting there. I'm supposed to be on the left, so I'm going to have to get over to the left because I'm at the right end of the channel. No traffic coming, but I better get over there. And everything's so lusciously green at this beginning of June. I don't know how long this following wind is going to last, but I'm well south of Vernon and headed towards Seine. So it's just ghosting. It's a following wind. It might save me a tiny bit of petrol. Just to have a look round a few houses on the other side, and I've just parked. I've just crossed a barge dock, a barge port. It looks quite old. Also, the boats in there look quite old and not very active. It's a pity. If there was more barge transport on the river, there would be fewer lorries on the road and less pollution. But anyway, there we are, just a pan across. Probably get dazzled by the sun, and then over on this side there's a railway line and a road. I can hear the cars. For the moment we're sailing on the right, and sometimes you have to cross over and go on the left. It's well, it's like most inland waterways. There are rules to follow, just like on the road. So at least with a very small boat this size, it's very easy to get close into the side and out of the way of the big barges. This is the traditional butterfly, known to all sailors who have either a Bermudian rig or a Wari rig, as in the mirror rig. So there's my topping lifts, and so it's, I can feel it's just, the wind is just behind my my left shoulder. So it's just about the limit for butterflying. I can probably steer just to the right a little bit, and it should be okay. Alright, so the wind's very light, but actually I'm probably making a knot and a half or something like that. This is the gravel industry of the Seine. Very ugly buildings, but I'm not sure if that's gravel. I think it's probably grain over there, grain silos. But over here it seems to be gravel. At least some things are transported by barge. And we're coming up towards Seine. I'm not sure where that church tower is. I haven't I haven't checked the position, my GPS position yet. I've just passed through this lovely narrow backwater, and I'm now in the main stream of the Seine. I have reached a place called Seine, and it's as far as I'm going to go upstream and up against the wind. It's quite gusty, quite a lot of quite heavy gusts. So I've decided to reef the main. It's really necessary. It might not look it, but there are some real gusts. With my the outhaul here, the reef outhaul, the reef Cunningham, reef halyard, it's all done. This boat will have lee helm, which will avoid my being broached if I get a very heavy gust. I'm going to go downstream, and I'm going to go with the following wind. So hopefully it'll be a lot more silent, and a lot quieter without the sewing machine on the stern of the boat. And some lovely little dragonflies, beautiful. I don't know if they can be caught on this. I don't think so. I think they've gone away. Beautiful little blue with a lovely blue sheen. Absolutely wonderful. These are wonderful times to spend on the river. So the wind comes from different directions according to the lie of the land. We're not at sea, we're on land, we're inland, so it's going to be quite an interesting experience. Well, hopefully, thanks to the reef and the sail, I might go a bit slowly, but at least I won't capsize. Right, well, I'll see if I can do another video whilst underway if it's not too stressful. Each navigator his own. A little jet ski and a big motorboat, and he's going to have great fun and give me some waves to surf on. So anyway, there's a bit of wind. It's going to gust quite a lot, so I think I'll be glad for the reefed sail as I get further downstream. And around about 8 o'clock this evening, 7 or 8, I'll stop somewhere and oh gosh, yes, I'm out of control. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the wind has decided that I'm going to jibe, and right. Anyway, I'll finish with this, and I'm going along in fits and starts here. It's very gusty, but it's the gust will probably pick up a little bit later. I'm just being very careful with this mainsail because it jibes all the time, but I'm ready for it, except for when I'm holding this camera. So I'll leave off for now. I've just been through my first fairly heavy gust, and the boat remains very stable. So I'm much more reassured. This is inland wind. This is not the sea. This is inland, and therefore the wind can come from anywhere. The mainsail can jibe at any time, anything can happen. You just got to be ready. You just got to be in. I've just got to be on my toes. Fortunately, I had a lot of this in my training. Yeah, it's picking up a bit. I was capsizing all the time on a little lake because of this problem of inland wind. But it was a good training, and it's seen me well as I am now, and so just continue in this absolutely beautiful day, in this absolutely beautiful river, the Seine that flows from Jibe-ho! Right, and Jibe-ho, I think. It's just deciding what it wants to do. Yes, la donne mobile, bum 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 bum. That's the yeah, that's the wind, just like the good lady in Italy. There we are again. I was just about to start filming, and the boat jibed, but there was no problem. It's just nice to be sailing again after all that motoring. There's no more noise of that engine behind, just the sloshing of the water, and I can see the jib obviously needs to be put into butterfly position. So I'll better do that. There we are, France just about freed from the lockdown. The second stage of the relaxation of the lockdown begins tomorrow, 2nd of July, and families enjoying themselves, sunning themselves on the grass embankment. So it's like a beach, except it's inland. There's the Chateau Guyon with a lovely 19th chateau underneath the old medieval ruin. Absolutely marvellous. So this is the language of late spring and early summer on its way. And I've just undone the reef because there were no more violent gusts, and I'm used to lapping up this boat, going into a controlled lap up if I have to. There's the boom. There's a bit of wind there, and we're getting on very nicely. And I'm going with the current of the river. So there's probably about a knot of current. So just enjoy that sight of the chateau, the Chateau Guyon. I'm now approaching Seine. I've just done a GPS check, and I can see that it all matches up. There are 2 islands there, but I'm going to follow the main stream to keep the wind as much as possible. And you can perhaps see a few buildings, large buildings, I don't know what they are, on top of the hill. And it's a fairly industrial, fairly modern sort of town, but there are probably some interesting streets and an old church. I don't know what Seine. Going along, it's a little bit more of a rate. That's the corn silos I passed yesterday, and then there are some other factories here. Can't imagine what they make. This one seems to has an enormous bread crane. Must move some very heavy stuff. I don't think it's a steel mill. Perhaps it is. It obviously unloads vast quantities of stuff from boats, because that's the dock, and then the the bridge cranes are just over the top. Oh yes, yes, it doesn't say, can't read the weight limit, but it'll be quite a lot. And then we pass there's another place where there's some tanks of some kind, extractor fans. I'm just beginning to get an idea. I'm now riding somebody's waves. Yes, it looks like there are pieces of wood in there, and perhaps great big pieces of metal. Wow. Oh well. Somebody's got to do the job. Somebody's got to. It's part of the economy of a country. Oh, see, looks like no, I'm not going to get a jibe. The wind's dropped more or less, and now I'm just drifting with the river current. Well, it's probably about a knot or so, which is just fine, and I've got just enough speed in relation to the water for steerage. Now then, I'm just thinking what's to do. I think it looks like a jibe, a very, very slow one. Well, this is another place where they unload boats. Large d'unité fluviale isolée for ordinaire. Oh yes. Special rules in case of fog. Port door 13. No idea what it is as a factory. Anyway, there are nicer things in life than factories. People have to work to earn a living, and then there are times like today for enjoyment and pleasure. Whacked me on the back of the neck, but I was half expecting it. Oh dear, it's going to drive another few times because it's all very. Oh wait a minute, I've got it. It's ought to be in a beam reach. So sign up for now. Here we are, a long way from the dark satanic mills on the side of the river, and it's a little bit delicate here with the wind. It's normal, it's a full reach, but it's a little bit delicate. Still going with the current, so we're doing quite well under sail. No need to start the engine for the moment. Some lovely embankments, all full of trees and forest. This must have been carved out by a glacier many millions of years ago. Well, the wind is against me now because I'm going towards the north. The wind was coming from the northeast, so it's now unfavourable, and I'm certainly not going to tack with all this traffic. There's a big barge here, there's a big one there, and the shipping lane is quite narrow. So I've gone back to the engine to get me on a little bit further. This is where I stopped for tonight, Monday night. It's a lovely part of the world. Over the other side of the river, a couple of houses, a few more houses, some lovely weeping willows, and I'm just next to a rather sorry looking old yacht. I was tempted to stop here last night, but I thought somebody was spending the night here, but it's obviously a yacht that's just been stored or something like that. quite a lot of damage on the roof. It's all made of plywood, and I don't know about the hull. I think probably the hull is something else. It would be a nice boat, but still got the French flag on the stern. So perhaps this boat does have a future. I would hope so. So I've just had my supper, and I've tied up the boat, and it'll be my good morning world tomorrow morning, and then I will gradually go back to my the slipway and the car and the trailer, and that'll be the end of this little outing. Good morning world. It's Pentecost Tuesday, 7:30 in the morning. Just finished packing up the bed and taking the tent down. And I don't know if you can see on the surface of the water, there's a funny kind of, I think it's steam. I can't think of what else it could be. With thousands of midges swimming along the surface, water boatmen, and all kinds of insects and creatures, and then down towards the south, towards Vernon. I can just see the tower of the bridge of Vernon. No, not at all. No, it's an electric pylon. The house over the road, the other few houses, and this old yacht. So I'll be getting tidied up, getting my breakfast, and then I'll be taking my time getting back to the launching ramp where I'll be recovering the boat and going home. Leaving the place where I spent the night, where that yacht is, and I'm on my way up north. This was my 5-star hotel for the first night. Another sign of fallen humanity or just neglect. A rotten boat just rusting away in the channel. Quite a few of them in this part of the river. There's another one up there that looks to be lived in, that has a yacht moored to it. Exactly the same last August. And there's another one at the end there. Skip this. Boat are going, but the sun's drifting. There's an old mooring place for barges. There's the barge that must have been there for decades. An old pier. Doesn't seem to be used for anything at all. A yacht, a demasted yacht. You can see that other boat rusting away. We should get there in a minute or two. And I'll speed up the engine a bit. Seine. Quite a few surprises, those who are sensitive enough to notice. This lot seems to be a mess, but it looks to be lived in. As I say, you can see the windows in the side of the hull. There's a television parabola. They seem to have everything they need to live. Lovely weeping willow. Right, here's the old boat. Still glass in the windows, surprisingly enough. The rest of it's just rusted away. In fact, that's one place I stayed last August. I slept in a tent under the tree. And there's this old there are two of them, I forgot that. There are two barges with the yacht moored, and there's this other barge that we can be lifted. And some lovely countryside. These are the second locks of the Seine. There's only one stage to go down before the first locks that leads to the tidal part of the Seine that goes downstream from Pose to Rouen and all the way to La Havre and the sea. So it's still the fluvial part, and even after these locks it's still fluvial, and then only after Pose does it become tidal. So I'm just moored here just for a few moments. I'm not going to go through these locks. I'm just going to refuel the engine and then go back to the car and the trailer. So that's a few little stones for those who would like to put them in their pocket, and there's not an awful lot to see around here. It's mostly flat land, and then over there a few factories. You can hear work being done. So there we are, on the water tower behind the tree. I'm now on the backwater, having gone past to where my car is parked in the trailer at Le Goulet, and I'm now going up a backwater which has a dead end just before the locks where I was. So I had to go all the way around, and then I'm coming up for a last little go to see up this little backwater. So I'll go as far as where it ends, then I come back and go to the and recover the boat. And here's where I ran out of water. I mentioned in the last video that this backwater has a dead end because the locks are just past the other side, so the whole area was re-engineered at some time, well, when the locks were built. So here we are, we're near Gaillon, and a few nice residences alongside the water, probably very pleasant places to live. That looks like a factory up there. A lot of mistletoe growing in the trees. I saw that in America about 20 years ago, much less here in France. But here it's growing quite fast on the trees. It's a parasite, as any botanist would know. So I'm going to turn around, and the next video will be from the ramp where we'll be recovering the boat. Well, I just recovered the boat. I pulled it up here, up the ramp, and there she is over there on the trailer. ready to unrig and get ready to go home. And so there she is, and the trusty old steed. So I'm going to have something to eat, and then I'll start unrigging and getting ready for the road. So there we are on the same trailer that I showed on my blog in the form of photos. The interesting thing is here I used two lines up here, and this and there the level is kept up by those here. So the whole idea is that I don't have to put a ring in the bow, because I'm not sure it would be strong enough, and I'm just like Roger Barnes. I don't like drilling any hole below the waterline. So there we are. Even though the waterline is about here, and but I prefer this arrangement. It works very well, and it pulls the boat by the two cleats on the stern, and it's never let me down yet. So this is the end of my little outing on the Seine. I'm back at a place called Le Goulot, which is near to Gaillon, and which is in the Eure, in the region of Normandy. So I have something to eat, and then home.